Hello and welcome to the Star Wars Shatterpoint Jedi Council interviews number 5. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome today Frazer. Frazer, how's it going?
Hello, good morning. It
Yeah.
is quite early here, so if I'm looking a bit tired, that's why.
Yeah, bright and early on a Sunday morning here in the UK. So Frazer, for those of you who don't know yourself, let's just dive in and start hearing about how you kind of got into wargaming and Shatterpoint in particular.
Yeah, so I've wargamed since I was like a wee boy. About 13, 14, played the Warhammer 40k back then. Used to go around one friend's house, play all day there, and sort of started there. Where'd I go from there? So I joined a group back then, one of the northern groups, that Northern Wargamers Association. So we played all sorts of games, Flames of War, Blood Bowl, Warhammer 40k, Warhammer, basically all of them at that time. Moved from there and really settled on Blood Bowl. That was my main game.
Yep.
And I played that through the Dark Ages when they didn't do any official rules updates. So I'll keep that in mind for Shatterpoint when we get there later.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah. So I played that, and I went to loads of tournaments for that because I've always been competitive. I don't know about yourself, but there's a different level when you're competing, even if it's not, you're not going to win, but you're still going to compete.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I've got that vibe. But eventually ended up going to a lot of really competitive Blood Bowl stuff. So went to the Euro Bowls, went to the World Cup of Blood Bowl in 2011, and actually won that one. A team of 6 of us, we won that. But I can't think how old I was, but eventually fell out of love with war games and stopped playing war games completely because I got interested in board games.
Okay.
Yeah, owned my own board games cafe.
Amazing.
Yes, and in 2019, Games Workshop got in touch with us and said, "Do you want to hold our stock in your shop?" And I was like, "Not really. It's not our side." And they're like, "It's fine. We'll send you some demo copies of stuff and we'll give you some freebies." So I got a big box of freebies, and they just sat in the cupboard. But then during COVID, I don't know if you heard of that thing, big thing.
Maybe.
Yeah, we got shut, as most hospitality and shops and stuff did. And I had all this stuff. And I was like, do you know what? I am bored. I'm going to paint some models again. So I got out my old paints, which are like the proper classic 1990s Citadel ones.
Goblin green round the base rim.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And the old like flip top ones that ripped off quite easily. And started painting again. So painted some Space Marines, then got back into 40k. So this was just as lockdown was ending. I was like, where can I go play? So found some people local, played with those, and then again started off playing tournaments again. And then thought, oh, this game is terrible. It's so unbalanced.
Yeah.
It is so unbalanced now. And I was like, oh, was it always like this? Or was it just nostalgia? So started looking around, and I was like, do you know what? I can get hold of any like Legion stuff, because one of my friends played Legion. So I was like, I'll try Legion. So jumped in Legion, got really into Legion again. And then I was like, oh, MCP looks quite good. So I started playing Marvel again. And well, I say again, started playing Marvel, built up a load of stuff for Marvel. And then Shatterpoint released. And I was like, MCP, but Star Wars. This sounds pretty good. So I started playing that. And that's how I got into Shatterpoint. That's sort of my quick run through of my wargaming history.
Amazing. Yeah, I think so. You and I both have we've got a very interesting overlap. I don't think we played Blood Bowl at the same time. Well, we will have done, right? But I was playing with my mates, kind of school age and stuff. But yeah, we both have that similar thing. We've actually competed to a kind of similar level in Blood Bowl, and so we have that in common. I've been to some Euro Bowls and stuff, and played a lot of Blood Bowl as well. And I know exactly what you mean in relation to that support and the Shatterpoint and Blood Bowl side of things. And it's fascinating. I was playing Blood Bowl very seriously when Shatterpoint was released, and Shatterpoint was my fun game. But then I kind of fell out of love with Blood Bowl and was like, right, now it's time to take Shatterpoint seriously. So that is it's interesting that there's some parallels there.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
because I played it right the way through where we had no rules updates apart
Yeah.
from the odd, like, because I think Games Workshop made it a specialist game,
Yep.
which, yeah.
Yeah, those in the Shatterpoint community, yeah. But Blood Bowl is the one game which people often refer to as being an example of how a community can keep a game going, because there was it was Living Rulebook 5 and 6 definitely, wasn't it? Where
it was Living Book, so they boxed up number 3.
Yeah.
And then brought out the Living Rulebook, which I think was 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6. Okay, yeah.
I've actually not played any of the new edition.
No. I haven't played the most recent one. I played the one before. I played the one that dropped during the pandemic. So we all got our box sets delivered during the pandemic and then couldn't play.
It's too play.
Yeah. No, brilliant stuff. So, you mentioned about kind of getting involved in the local area, finding those players for Warhammer and MCP and stuff. So what's your local scene for Shatterpoint? Like talk me through how you get your regular, weekly games in or things like that.
So mine's a bit weird, sort of, but I've kind of got 3-ish local scenes.
Okay.
So my first local scene is me and my mate Connor. I probably get 90% of my games against Connor. We just meet up every other Friday, sort of thing, and play 2 or 3 games in one night, and then go home, do a thing. So that's my main scene, and I know it's a small scene, but my second big scene is Element Games.
Yep.
So I know you've had him on, but Jed.
Yep. Jed on.
He runs the local scene there, and I try and make it there as often as I can. But for me, that's about an hour drive.
Okay.
So it depends on traffic, but normally things start in a night. Rush hour traffic, it's an hour. So, and I started a job recently where I'm actually 30 minutes south of me, so it's an hour and a half if I want to get there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so it makes it harder, but I still try and get there as much as possible. And there's a good little community there. And Jed runs, I think it's once every 2 to 3 months, a Friday night casual but speedrun tournament.
Yeah, he spoke about that. Yeah, trying to get you play in about an hour and 15 minutes. You just rather than dragging the games out, you just kind of let's crack through. See if we can play
you
quick.
sort of do your rules queries afterwards. You do. Yeah. It's a little bit loose and fast, but it's good games, and I really enjoy those. And he also runs Saturday tournaments, and I think he's got the biggest in the UK tournament is there as well at the moment.
Yep. For now, yeah. Very good, yeah.
And my really secondary, tertiary, I suppose, is the Darksphere guys down in London.
Okay, yeah.
Because my partner's mum lives on the same tube line that's there. So.
Okay, yeah. Because you came down. Yeah, you came down to the most recent Darksphere. We were both there, and that's where we talked about. I talked about doing this interview. Yeah, and I wasn't sure whether I didn't actually ask why you were there, but I thought to myself, that is a bit of a trek. Like I thought I didn't know what the connection was, but that's great. No, if you've got family there as well.
I've done a few of those guys. I can't do the evening ones, but any time they run a weekend one, I try and get down because again, I like games.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And and as you say before, you as coming in from a competitive standpoint, that's really good that you're able to get such a variety of games in as well, because that's the thing. Like when playing in a localized meta, right, people start to think the same things are stronger or not, or you might not see any certain units appear, right, because if no one's playing, I don't know, Empire in your area, you might not face Empire until you go to a tournament, and then you're already at a disadvantage when you get into a tournament setting.
Because you don't exactly know what they do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you're not aware of hang on a second, there's that one little gimmick. Like, if you never played versus Moff Gideon, for example, then you don't know that it's 2 force to reserve, potentially.
And then it really screws your plans.
Yeah, exactly. And then that completely, that should change your game plan, potentially, with certain lists where you pull something immediately and go, right, I don't want that. And they go, well, hang on a minute. That's 2 force now. So, can mess with you there. So talking about units that aren't often played, I would be completely remiss if we didn't talk about a certain honest businessman, Mr. Hondo, who you are. I mean, I think your reputation travels before you, as often I do see it when you're registered for events. I do see you just put Hondo on as you know, as a little teaser, remember guys, I am the number one Hondo player on the Longshanks ranking for what that's worth. But talk me through your love of Hondo. Is it the character? Is it the card? Is it what he brings to the game? Like what attracts you to play Hondo so much?
So I do love Hondo. I think he's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. He has been ever since. Like, he appeared on Clone Wars, I think was his first appearance. But yeah. He has been my favourite rapscallion pirate. He's the better Han Solo for me, kind of like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So that was sort of my initial, like, I'm going to play Hondo. And I've always done it in games. If somebody tells me something is bad, I will try and go, no, he's not. No, he's not. So that was sort of the first iteration of why. And I think it was, I'm sure I've taken him to almost every tournament I've been to in some iteration. I think there's one tournament I haven't. And we'll talk about that in a bit when we get to the reason I'm on the call.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But then, so with Hondo in particular, maybe just diving a little bit into kind of like talking about the unit as a unit. You know, there are, you know, I don't agree with the people that say Hondo is bad, right?
Yes.
But I would say that Hondo is probably maybe a bit more middle of the road. If you take a cursory glance at Hondo as being middle of the road, you know. And one of the big restrictions I think on him is at the moment he's only 7 points, right? You know, you're already limited by what you can bring in terms of that. But what is it that makes Hondo tick for you, aside from trying to prove people wrong?
Right. So he's a lot better than people give him credit. He's not an A tier. I'm not going to try and say he's A tier.
Sure.
But he is this close, I think, to being A tier. And I don't even think it's the 7 force points. So Hondo's biggest issue for me is as soon as he takes one wound, he becomes very hard to use and maintain.
Okay.
So, and it would be an easy fix for me, and I can get to that later, but he moves other people, and he moves a lot of people with one force. He can move himself and 2 others.
Yep.
He's got the disarm on a stick thing, where he goes, you can't disarm. There's a second part to that power, but that's useless. I've never used that bit.
Okay.
I'm trying to think what his card. But what he is innate. He makes everyone else better.
Sure.
But I always take him full scoundrels, never anything else. And I really like him with Riff at the moment, actually. Yeah, but he's the extra 2 dice every single time. You just do it.
Yeah.
Take the strain if need be.
Sure.
But I was listening to, I think it was one of the American podcasts, and I'm completely blanking on which one it was.
Is it Hello There?
Hello There.
They do their primary unit kind of deep dives, don't they, and stuff? Yeah.
And they did their first one was on Hondo randomly, so I was listening to that one, and they were almost right with what they were saying. But the way to make him work is just have a shove on 1 or 2.
Ah, okay.
So every character has a shove on 1 or 2, so you don't take the strain and you get all the advantage.
Amazing, yeah. I can see that, yeah.
But the 7 force points, now that he is not every era, but now that he's more...
bigger span, yeah.
Yeah, you take R2 and Lando, and then you're pretty much free, because those boys are much better as well than what people give them credit for.
Yeah,
especially because you can do a 10 dice attack with.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and okay, you've upped your chances of rolling a couple of misses in there as well. But you can just stack it, right? Exactly, you can just stack it, and when you need to get a couple of results through, Lando and R2 they do get better when they complete their tree regularly. They're absolutely solid. You know,
I'm sure it's about 4 down their tree, and they're doing something like 12. If they get 4 down the tree twice, they're doing 12 damage.
Yeah.
It's something ridiculous like that.
Yeah. And also, a side note as well for the hobbyists as well. That Hondo model is actually very dynamic, and you can paint him up so vibrant. I use the Rogue Hobbies Pro Acryl to do pretty much the whole of my Hondo, and he pops. He really pops on the table. He's quite a dynamic pose for someone who's got both feet on the ground.
Yes.
So, yeah, exactly. Hey, what do you mean? Yeah, no, brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
But yeah,
stuff.
he's my favourite character, and I do try. He's in semi-retirement at the moment for competitive stuff, just because I'm meant to be playing to win. So
yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we do see a little bit of love for Hondo in the near future. But I'm sure, regardless of whether we do or not, I'm sure he will be featuring on the table with you again regularly.
Yes, he may be back after the European tournament. So.
Exactly. And speaking of the European tournament, let's move on to that. So that is the main kind of crux as to why we're talking about this. Obviously, I think you're a fantastic player. You're currently ranked, I think, 4th in the UK at the moment. So it's definitely someone to be wary of if you come up against yourself on the table. But as we say, so there is a European tournament, and I think if Adepticon's allowed to be called Worlds, I think we can call this the Euros. So there's 7. So it's a team event.
Yes.
Being held in France. It's known as the SET, the Shatterpoint European Tournament, so it's set. And it's 7 teams competing, five players per team, so 35 players competing. It's happening at time of recording. Right now, you'll be finishing your one of your final rounds, I think, this time next week, isn't it?
Yes, so depends on what time you're sending it.
Yeah.
Because at the moment we've got, I think it's 6 games on the Saturday and 1 game on the Sunday.
Yikes!
No,
5 and 1. Is it 5 and 1? Yeah.
5
So five games on one day. Yeah. Okay. So but let's open by talking about the format. So you're team captain for the Team UK / Team England, however you want to describe it. But let's talk about the format of the event. So we got 7 teams. So unfortunately, it couldn't get to 8. That would have been really nice because otherwise, I have seen the schedule and it looks like there's a bye round, and you guys have your bye round is round. Is the final round, isn't it? So difficult for flights and leaving. Right. Yeah, exactly. Because if you have I think I was looking at it and I thought the sweet spot for the bye is probably round 3 on day 1. I think that's the sweet spot because you play 2 rounds, you get a break, you play 2 more rounds, and then you get 2 rounds on the next day. I reckon that's probably the sweet spot is round 3 maybe.
Personally, it would either be game 1, game 6, or game 5.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, regardless, you guys unfortunately have hit that one, which means if you are in the running for a podium, no one can leave. So you guys are all locked in. And if you aren't in the running for a podium, you've all got trains and flights booked back later as well. So at least I guess you can enjoy the kind of convention that's running alongside it. But yeah, let's talk about the format then of the event. So team event, it's been through several iterations. I remember seeing the rules. I think I saw version 1.2 or something of the rules. I was sent them, and yes, it was interesting at that point. But are you able to kind of talk us through how a round would go, for example? So you're paired up against someone, I don't know, France, Spain, Italy. How would it go?
Okay, so we rock up at the table. We've got five strike teams, Premier teams. I can't remember what they're called properly. I pick 2 of them as attackers and 3 of them as defenders.
Okay.
The opponent does the same. Then I get to pick one of my 2 to go against one of their 3.
Okay.
They do the same to me. So we're left with my choice of team and my choice of their defender.
Yep.
They then pick one of their 5 missions to go on it.
Okay.
So we've all got each team member submitted a mission with it. So we could have 5 copies of First Contact if we really wanted to.
Sure.
So we've got 5. So we pick one of our missions. So even though it's my mission, it could go against someone else's matchup.
Okay.
So just because you brought I'm going to go with first contact, doesn't mean you have to play your first contact. Then the opponent picks one of the 5 maps that are available to play that on. And we rinse repeat that backwards and forwards until all 5 matchups are set.
Okay, so it sounds horrifically complicated. However, I imagine that in practice, it's actually quite straightforward. This drafting system, does it work? I assume you've done some practicing.
Yes, I've done a couple of practices.
Yeah, does it work? How does it feel?
Not as bad as it sounds.
Yeah,
because it does sound ridiculous. But once you get into it, it's like, okay, it's 2 and 3. Play some cards and do
shuffle around. Now, this is something that really interested me in about the event, and I was very sad I couldn't actually attend, because at early doors I was hoping I would have been able to attend, but unfortunately, real life they changed the date as well, and the first date was absolutely fine for me. July, it was going to be early July, I think it was.
Yes.
That I would have been absolutely fine with that. Would have tied in with a holiday over to France anyway. I could have either driving back. I could have called in, played the event, and carried on home. Right. So that would have been good. But anyway, beside the point. But yeah. So this draft system is something that interested me, because obviously we've got other games. You got 40k team events have been running for years. The old world. I watch a lot of old world team event reports. That talk about the drafting system. Do you think that this is something that, as we move further, move further forward with Shatterpoint, I know it will take a while for, let's say, the UK scene to get to the point, certainly where we were doing 5-person teams, but we might be able to get 3-person team events more regularly. Do you think this draft is something that is viable for Shatterpoint in a team setting?
First instinct is yes. But obviously, I'll let you know more afterwards.
Sure.
Because it could be terrible once I get there. But
one
of the things I like about it is that the matchups are determined, but you've got some control, but not all control.
Yeah.
And I also like, for a bit of a weird one, for the rest of the Shatterpoint anyway, is you get your matchups before you pick which strike teams go in.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's opened up some of the characters that are bad on certain missions.
Yes.
So we'll get there later, but we can take Mother Talzin without issue.
Yeah.
Because she's not going to be stuck on something she just is very lackluster on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can put her on strategic positions where everything's a lot closer, and suddenly her revenge. And getting a heal off someone to clear any pins on her or a disarm, suddenly you've got her revenge that is actually going to do something, rather than never tell me the odds, where there is no way she's, someone gets wounded over the other side of the board, she's not moving because she's contesting a point where she is, and that's it. You're just like, okay, fine, sad. Yeah. Fair enough. So, so you mentioned as well, just to tie off this kind of like, what's going on in the matches. So you mentioned also about the board. So this is something that is also, I find really interesting, is that there's 5 different maps, aren't there? And they have been pre-announced. So so the layout is known for all 5 maps. So so how's that kind of come into play with your thinking? What's your, as captain, how much are you viewing the terrain and those map layouts when you're deciding about lists and what you might choose to put on those different boards?
So when building the lists, we paid no attention to the maps.
Sure.
Like we didn't. There was most. I'm going to go with most of the maps are fairly normal Shatterpoint maps. There is one map which I have never seen done in the UK scene, which has 2 size 1, like height 1 terrain pieces. It's the D-shaped one that comes in the box.
Yeah.
There's 2 of those essentially, and then the rest of it is flat.
Wow.
With do you know the new Legion terrain?
Yeah, I've seen some of the Legion terrain, yeah.
Yeah, it's the new Legion terrain, but it's completely flat. There's 2 ingress points, 1 on each of these blocks, and it's very unusual. It's the only map I've actually built as best I could and practiced on.
Okay.
Because I was looking at it like, what?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah, sure. So I think the only thing that I could liken that to is, and this is absolutely before Louis at Dark Sphere says, whoa, Steve, you're digging my tournament. I'm not having a dig, mate. I'm just saying that sometimes when the tournaments get big at Dark Sphere
Yes.
not enough terrain is brought, there tends to be stuff like MCP terrain gets brought out, Legion terrain gets brought out, and so you can get some quite quirky terrain
Yeah.
coming at Dark Sphere. Now that's absolutely fine because we just need, we do just need terrain as long as you clear what is what.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably the only time I've ever seen boards where I look at them and go, oof, okay, that's going to
Yeah.
be, because and it's just because there's not enough terrain available at the shop to run. When you've got 11 tables potentially, where
Yeah.
we're
You're not
not
used to
not
five
everywhere.
normally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can produce 5 or 6, and people can bring one or two with them. But yeah, it's yeah. When you get to that end, okay, that is interesting. Yeah, I did play. I've played one game before with almost no terrain on the board, but that was very early days. That was just because we were like, well, what happens if we do this, right? We're learning a new game. What happens if we put
Yeah.
no terrain down, basically? But yeah, okay. So interesting that is something there. Do you think that's something that the maybe is more common? I guess you can find out at the event, but do you think that's something that's more common maybe on the continent? Because it's a French event. Is this something you
Yeah.
think that they maybe run a really extreme kind of style of board, maybe where they have that? Is that something that you think
Well,
could be
I'll be honest. I
possible?
didn't hate it. The two
Okay,
games that I played on it, it didn't hate. It just produces you a different problem.
sure,
Um,
sure.
but one of the things that they've done on the pack is they've graded them on three different things.
Okay,
So this one had, so it's like green, red, or amber on how many ingress points, how much height there is, and I forgot the other one. But
okay,
it was like it's green, green, and then red for
sure,
height.
sure.
So
Okay, that is very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I
so they've
do.
almost tried to stagger it and stuff. So some boards have a lot of terrain, some have half terrain, and I do like it as a concept for a competitive play thing, especially across a team event. I don't know if
Yeah,
I'd enjoy it too much on an individual event,
yeah.
especially if you randomly each five, like a 5 game tournament, you end up on 5 blank tables. It's like,
Yeah, sure, sure.
right.
I do think
But
I do think there is. I mean, I think this is one of the things that Shatterpoint has really going for it, and it's one of my reasons. And you'll appreciate this as someone who's come from Blood Bowl. The Blood Bowl pitch hasn't changed,
no,
right? And when Games Workshop try and throw in like quirky rules for pitches, all they do is they break the game. Because
yes,
because like if they go, oh right, well everyone's now -1 movement, you're like, right, well that's ruined. Two thirds of the
yeah,
teams are still fine, but a third of the teams now you're just not viable. Like
you're just
because
not
because I
moving.
can't I can't have a movement 3 dwarf, right? It just
Yeah,
doesn't work. Whereas with Shatterpoint you can have tables where you go, oh hang on a minute, there's no ladders,
yeah,
there is no ingress, and you're like, well okay, well now suddenly climb, scale, jumps become incredibly valuable.
yes,
Or you can go to a table where as you say, there's maybe loads of scatter around, so shoves are maybe not as effective because you're just going to keep on bumping into scatter terrain. But I think it is something that's good, and I'm glad they've thought about it. So yeah, I'll be really interested to hear following the event how those games go on those tables that are
yeah.
less terrain. Yeah,
So the less
fantastic.
terrain ones, we're obviously going to try and avoid putting people like Mandalorians on it
Of
because
course, yeah.
they lose half of their thing. But one of the things, because I was using my list, I've got very little in the way of jump and
Mm.
climb, all that sort of stuff. So it's like, it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, sure. Right. Well, speaking of lists, I think it's time that we look at some lists. So
Yeah.
with the magic of if I press some buttons here with my magic here, I will produce Longshanks on the screen for the European team. Now I just need to find the actual page so I can scroll it. There we go. Very nice. Happy days. There we are. I'm all set. Super professional. So oh no, I've just got to be on that screen, otherwise it
I was
messes
going
up
to
the
say,
size.
I can't see it.
No, it's all right. No, it's okay. I will see if I can share my screen with you. Bear with me. It's all very exciting. This is
If
a
not, I've got it in front of me, so it's fine.
live. There we go. You should be able to see that now.
No, I've just got your. Oh, there we go.
There
Yeah,
we
I've got
go.
it.
Lovely. So if I have a look through this now, so we're just on the first page. So just a little quick overview, just to give people an idea. And this is all available. This is all public data that's available for anyone who wants to access Longshanks. They can see this. So just looking at the primary unit breakdown, we can see a lot of the big names. For those that have watched the Stat Center and the Meta Watch, we got lots of the big names featuring here in the primary. So we got Mando, Obi, Cassian, Riff, Kiadi, Iden, PLC, Kanan, Boss, and GI, all featuring seven times. So with the list restrictions, obviously within your 5, you couldn't have the same. You couldn't have 4 players with Cassian, right? You could have 1 Cassian per team of 5, right?
Yes.
So that does mean that it does shake the meta up quite a lot, which I do like. And I think there's nothing really here from my point of view, having looked over the meta, that leaps out at me as being particularly strange. In our unused primaries, we got Padme, obviously, CT, Fulcrum, Ahsoka, Lando, and then Luke. Maybe a little bit surprising not to see Luke, but again, if you're not playing him normally at the moment, there's so many other kind of rebel primaries to choose from. So there's nothing here from my point of view that leaps out as particularly strange. But is there anything on your side that you kind of looked at and thought, oh, I would have expected to see more of that primary?
I wouldn't have said there was major ones. Based on the Adepticon, I expected to see more Luminara.
Yep.
Because I think she had a really good showing at Adepticon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But maybe that's just an American meta thing. But who else was it? There was another big one. It's sort of the Mando stuff. You've only got 3 armorers.
Sure.
And with the stretch of how many different lists there are, kind of expected the Mandalorians to be taken more.
Okay.
So, although there's still 3 of them, I expected more just based on the fact that she makes Mandalorians go, and in this wide of a list, because obviously we've got 5 times 4 primaries per list.
Yeah.
So I just expected more of her.
Okay. But it's a shakedown, and I also think as well. Remember, with this as well, we're looking at multiple nations being involved, and so we got multiple nations, let alone communities, but we've got multiple nations metas coming to the front, right? So one nation may have a really high regard for a particular primary, and others may say no, we're not actually interested in it. So yeah, very good. Right, so let's now shift over into looking at some lists then, and kind of talking through your process of list building. So I think again, very interesting format. So you weren't allowed to duplicate primary units, but you weren't actually allowed to duplicate any unit across the 5 team members. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you weren't allowed any of the same unit, but you were allowed multiple princess layers. So, but not in the same person's team. So
sure.
So I've got Freedom Fighter layer.
Yep.
Jay has PLC.
Yep, and you could also then have someone else having Boosh, for example, as well.
If they really wanted to.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Right, well, let's start then. So we'll just go down in the order that they are displayed here. So we'll start off with yourself. There you are, team captain with the little anchor icon. I do like that. So let's have a little look at your list and then talk through your kind of process behind this. So we can see we've got Jin, Callus, and the Rebel Commandos. Very solid there. General Solo, K2SO, and Lando and R2, again really solid. Leia Organa Freedom Fighter, as you've said, Luke and the Rebel Pathfinders, and then Kanan, Ezra, and Zeb featuring there. And as you said, you've got First Contact as the mission. So at first glance to me, this looks very much like Rebels, with just no Cassian and Baze and Chirrut, basically.
Essentially, yes. So I'll go a little bit back.
Sure.
So the way that we picked our team initially as a whole, we sort of went, right, what do you want to bring? And we all put together our 5 lists without talking to each other. And surprisingly, there was very little crossover.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, it was weird. I was the only one who was like, right, I'm going to bring rebels.
Yeah.
Jay was a little bit rebelly, but somehow we had very little crossover.
Yeah.
Who else went? I think Ben went with more of a scoundrelly look, which kind of ruled me out the Hondo line, which we'll get to. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. That was gonna come into my line of questioning in a moment. Yep.
And then Thomas has got like a Empire / separatist look, and then you've also got Alex, who went more Republic-y with Vader as a Republican. So yeah,
nice. So yes, I mean, so taking a look at this, your list here. Obviously, we won't delve too much into the kind of tactics, but too far, because I don't want you to spoil any thoughts that you have with this. But obviously we've got Jin with Callus is super great, right? Her you're not needing to rely on force to get that essential reroll. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Callus and Jin is really a match made in heaven, and the Rebel Commandos obviously are with some of the missions that are available. I guess that's kind of protecting you slightly, isn't it, from landing on a bad mission.
Yes.
Because you've got that forward deployment,
Yes.
so that kind of protects you there. Obviously, you've got General Solo and Kanan for some revenge triggers there. Although I guess aside from Kanan and Jin, again, I don't want to go spoiling any pairings you know you're going to be running and stuff like that. But obviously you've got the Callus in there, but there's no other specters outside of those lists there. But stacking Kanan, Ezra, and Zeb in one list is certainly giving Kanan a bit of firepower.
It is. So you've got that, which makes them ridiculous. Giving them rerolls for free just makes them stupid.
Yeah.
But the other combo, which is really nice, and I'm pretty sure it's out there as a thing, is Freedom Fighter Lair with Callus.
Yeah.
Because then you get the extra reroll because you share the. So you're getting 2 rerolls on Lair, Luke, Rebels.
Yeah, because she makes everyone Ewoks, right? It is. I've played around with that one as well, because it's and obviously we don't have the power force of Baze and Chirrut in here, but if you are looking for a very competitive list, also chucking Baze and Chirrut with Leia on the other side also makes the Callus rerolls very, very, very interesting, doesn't it?
It makes it very spicy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good list. That one, it gets very violent. I've found.
Yeah, no. I mean, to me, at a cursory glance, this looks like a really solid list. I would be, I think, as I say, barring a Cassian and Baze and Chirrut, which at the moment are just so dominant. This, you could rock up with this to an individual event and do incredibly well anyway. So I think in a team environment where you may have a slight influence on what you take, that's really good. Just to tie off with your list, then, why have you gone for First Contact?
Because it's my favorite mission. It is the best mission. It's. For me, it's great. And half the thing is, nobody else wants to play it.
Mm-hmm.
So turning up and having First Contact is brilliant, because it puts, I'm trying not to swear, puts the opponent on the back foot. There we go.
Indeed. Yeah, indeed. It's that psychological effect of going, oh great, you've got First Contact. I now, and it's not even, obviously, because you guys can decide one of the lists, right? You can always, I also know it's pretty public knowledge, because anyone who's watched my tournament reports knows my enjoyment of First Contact as well. But also Jay in the team is a big fan of First Contact. So to have at least 2 out of 5 of you who your mission choice would be First Contact, means that you've got a huge advantage, right, in terms of deploying that on one of the boards with one of you that wants to play it as a preference. Yeah,
we both love it. We ended up playing each other at Dark Sphere.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
and we're playing First Contact. Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. So no, that's a lovely list there from you. I think that's going to go really good. So looking down now, our next list we'll look at is Ben's list. So let's have a look here. So we've got Mandalorian, IG-88, and the Wingard. Then Boss, Fixer, and Sev and Scorch. Cad Bane, Dengar, and then Han and Chewie in it for the money. And Kit Fisto, Aura Singh, and the Arfs on strategic positions. Now, this is really interesting. I mean, there's one list in there that stands out as the top of the meta. However, I'm not seeing anything that might immediately pairs with that. We've got no Obi-Wan in there, we've got no Hunter in there. So yeah, maybe talk through this a little bit. I'm guessing that Aura Singh might find herself becoming a clone.
Yes. So this list's probably the one that's gone through the most iterations.
Sure.
I think Ben has changed pretty much every day since we decided we were going.
Fair enough.
He's
Fair
flipped and flopped quite a lot. So the Mandalorian Cad Bane stuff.
Yep.
That's been fairly steady, but what's been underneath has been a bit of a change, a bit of a chopping.
Sure.
And he actually submitted the wrong list.
Is this not the right list?
Well, he had two lists, and he was going to go with the other one, and then accidentally submitted this one. So,
oops. Okay, brilliant. Oh, right, there we go. Okay, it's locked in.
It was only a tiny tweak, so it's not like it's made a big difference. But fate has decided which list he's taking.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yes, but then the boss list. He's always had the boss, the Delta Squad.
Yep.
And it's what goes with it.
Sure.
He's always flipped and flopped. So he was playing with Mace at one point. He was using Kit Fisto quite a bit. And I think there's somebody else who was using that, just blanking on me. And he was like, right, I'm not going to take Mace, but I am going to take Crosshair and Arse and just play a point down.
Sure.
And they were like, you do know Aura Singh is like right there.
Yeah.
In some ways, for me, is a much better Crosshair, especially since the new update.
Yeah.
She became really good.
Yeah.
So again, I mentioned Connor at the very beginning as my local scene. He's been messing around with a Aura Singh, Hunter, and Wolf combo.
Okay, nice.
And using her as a clone trooper, which makes her almost definitely kill two things a turn.
Sure.
Which is ridiculous. So I was like, try this. So Ben's had to go with Aura Singh instead, and really likes the Aura Singh clone trooper nonsense that you can do with her.
Yeah.
So yes, there's two lists.
Yeah. Cool. So no, looks really, really good. And I mean, we know how strong the Delta Squad is in the meta anyway. And to be honest with you, yes, the Hunter and Obi are the two more common choices there. But as long as you've got two more clones on the board, and Aura being a clone as well, to be honest with you, Delta can carry a large chunk of the game themselves. And then you've got Kit Fisto for additional speed on a board. So Boss is fast, Kit is faster. It's so yeah.
All board with that list.
Yeah, and obviously you've got the coordinated fire dash on the arfs as well. So yeah, there is nowhere that and Kit as well, of course. So you've got there's nowhere that Kit, Boss, and the rest of the team are gonna fail to get to. And then strategic positions, the mission. Any reason behind that, or is it just fancied it and it's nice and new?
He's played a few games on it, and it suits what he's trying to do quite well.
Cool. I think it will be a popular choice as well. I think people are enjoying that mission. Yeah. Excellent. Right, let's continue down. So everyone's down here now. There we go. So on to the next one. Dr. Monologue, who features regularly on the stats show recaps, hitting strong results in my recaps. So yeah, a name that will be familiar to those who watch the Stats Center. So Monologue going for Iden Versio, the DTE. And the ISF, so very standard there. GI, third sister, fourth sister, yep, super good there. Riff, Nosserai, and the Aquas, and then Luminara, Kalani, and the B1 battle droids. I think for me, again, if I'm looking at kind of an Empire list, I'm not too surprised to see that Empire kind of configuration. And then, I mean, since Luminara came out, we know she's been a separatist. You know, she's good for the Seps. So nothing too surprising here, other than you were saying that everyone kind of when they were first choosing their lists was kind of came in with a good spread here. Was there any conflict of interest with Dr. Monologue's list, or was this pretty much where they landed?
So he came up with so Thomas came up with this. He knew he was going to take an Empire, and he sort of pre us doing the 5 list thing. He said, "I'll take the Separatists as a sacrificial lamb almost."
Okay.
For it. So he took that, but he took Riff. Then again, another reason I definitely didn't take Hondo.
Yep.
So because of that, but his list was pretty much nobody contested it, other than maybe me with Riff.
Sure. But then again, you've got your as captain, you can be flexible anyway. That's part of the deal with being captain, right? But also you've got a very, very, very strong Rebels Revenge lists kind of going on there. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, pre-Dark Sphere, my list was even stronger, to be fair. So.
Fair enough.
We'll get on to that when we get to Jay's list.
Yeah, for sure. And then shifting priorities. I guess that's to maybe give shifting priorities. I guess works well with the boss list. So it's good to have it in the toolbox if you need it as well for someone else, because obviously you're not just list locked into having to play your mission, but also it does help with the separatists. Shifting priorities is fine for Seps, certainly as opposed to some of the later missions.
Yeah, it also gives us a nice list to throw down if we don't want to use strategic or first contact when we get the choice.
Yep. No, that's very sensible. Yeah, I like that someone's brought shifting there. Yeah, I think that this should be good here. I guess we didn't really cover this in the talking about the format, but is it the same? You must fulfill your destiny for the event, so you must play all of your squads at least once. So obviously we don't want to give away tactics, but I think anyone will look at this and go, unless you know what you're going into, that separatist list is probably weaker than the Iden GI list.
And from what I can understand, not under his.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we might be seeing the Seps hitting the table more than once from Dr. Monologue. That would be brilliant. I'm
sure at the local element one, he did it the reverse. I think he went 1 and 3 rather than 3 and 1.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, we will watch this space then. We won't spoil any of the tactics then. We'll move on to the next list then. So next up we have Jay's list. So I've been Jay's quite local to me, and I've had the pleasure of playing various iterations of this even before I think it was even in the concept stage. I'm pretty sure Jay was running some of these lists similar style. So we've got Cassian with Sabine and Baze and Chirrut. So there's the other big dogs in the meta. So we've got the obviously the Delta Squad together in one, and then we've got Cassian and Baze and Chirrut together in another. Then we've got PLC, Lobot, and the ISB. So obviously Lobot with Bar 2 is a common build there, but Bar 2 are in your list there, so ISB slotting in there. Then we've got Ahsoka, Jedi No More, Bo-Katan and the Super Commandos, and then Mother Talzin, Jango Fett, and the Night Sisters, which is a common build that we've seen as well. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, a second first contact being brought for Jay. So yeah, let's talk through this one. So this is where the Cassian has ended up, and the Baze and Chirrut.
Yes. So this all came about because we played each other at the Dark Sphere tournament.
Yep.
And I think we were both in Cassian. I had Cassian Jin, and Jay went Cassian Ahsoka.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it was a really good game. I was like, nope, I'm not having Cassian or Baze and Chirrut. You are.
Fair enough.
Use that list. That list is nasty.
Yep. Yeah. I played against that list or something. It was either that list or no, or maybe I played against Cassian Armorer as well. And so yeah, some of Jay's kind of out the box thinking around what compare with Cassian is very, very scary.
Yes.
It's when you look outside of Rebels with Cassian and you're not quite so focused on maybe the damage output, and you're looking at that repo.
Yeah.
I know that for a while Paz Vizsla was featuring a lot in Jay's lists, and Paz,
Yes.
when you can move Paz up the board, he suddenly becomes very, very scary. So
yes, it becomes very, very scary what
yeah.
you can do with Cassian and anything.
Yeah,
To be fair.
yeah, fantastic. And as we've touched it on already, Mother Talzin. I know that Jay, again, it's public knowledge out there, but Jay has run some Cassian Talzin lists in Premier events recently, and again, when you've got it's very, very similar. Mother Talzin, very similar to Leia. When you get the extra movement on Leia or Mother Talzin, again, they become a lot more of a scary prospect to deal with that Cassian full move at the moment.
Yes, I mean, Jay can use any combination of these two.
Yeah.
These full lists.
Yeah.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like the 2x2.
Sure.
Builds. I'm very much a believer in the either anchor or everything can play with everything.
Yep. No, absolutely. I do enjoy those as well. I think there's some 2x2s which are useful to have, but I some of my most fun has been with combos, and I'm certainly going to look at some combos in the new meta as well. I think the other thing to touch on as well here, of course, is Night Sister Acolytes coming in with an expose. When Baze and Chirrut are going in with some additional dice, maybe from Cassian, into something that can be exposed, that is not to be sniffed at. And also Jango Fett, he did get a little nerf from one of the best abilities in the game, got nerfed, but he is still crippling sometimes for people to play against.
He took a little nerf, but also I think he took a sidestep.
Yeah, sure.
Slightly down, but mostly he's all right. He's still pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, having played versus Jay before, I think the pilot will make all of these combos sing.
Yes,
so, and we've got First Contact again, as we've talked about. So let's look at the final list for the UK / Team England. So Alex here. So Alex running a bit more of the Gar side of things. So we've got Ki-Adi-Mundi, Shakti, and the 501st with Jedi Hunter, Padawan Ahsoka, and Phil's clones. Then General Obi-Wan, Rex, and Echo and Tech, with Hunter, Wrecker and Omega, and the 212, again, strategic positions. So again, leaping out here, I mean, this is almost cookie cutter from the Adepticon lists that were doing very well. 501st over Padawans. We know that Ki-Adi and Vader Jedi Hunter, I mean, for those who watch the Meta Watch, we know what Ki-Adi can do in terms of boosting Vader's win rate right up, and those Vader dice are fantastic. I'm toying with this list, almost the same list, possibly for some events that I've got coming up. And then obviously Obi-Wan with Rex. It's a match made in Hunker Heaven. And then you've got Echo and Tech to go with Hunter and Wrecker and Omega to get some more Bad Batch synergy there. So yeah, is this a 2x2, or will we might see some Obi-Wan and Ki-Adi as well?
It's a 2x2 with an extra 1x1.
Sure.
Yeah, it's mainly a 2x2. Let's be honest, but
yeah,
there is a little bit of a tweak there that can be made in the right matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think Shakti and Ki-Adi with Hunkers certainly do very, very well. That does help them. Getting up to 6 defense dice can really help them with their defensive expertise.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's a really good list. It's I know Alex has been using this most of this year.
Yeah.
A combination of this, I think.
Yep.
Phil's clones were a last minute decision.
Sure. Off the back of Adepticon, or like seeing some of the data, or
at the back of the last tournament. I think he might have played against Phil.
Oh yes, yep.
Yes.
Tabletop
I
Impulse.
seem to remember there was I think it was Phil because he appeared on a tournament recap with Phil. But
Yep.
About the Phil's clones, but yeah, it's just a heal up, really.
Yeah. Absolutely. In my games with this, it's I played this game. I played with this list only the other day, and I think by the end of the game, I only actually had one or two units wounded at the end of the game because the heals are. If you bring the Padawans as well, but obviously 501st bring some strain into the mix, which does help against some lists, and having another ranged attack can also really help boost the list, because Vader's obviously got a ranged before you flip him, because once he's in the fray, you're not really going back to that side of the tree. Yeah. But yeah, so to have two ranged attacks is very good there. So yeah, no, that looks like a very solid list there. I guess the only other thing to kind of talk about then pre-event is, are there any individuals or teams that you're particularly excited by? Is there anything that's kind of caught your eye as team captain, as people or teams that you want to be watching out for?
So at least on paper,
yep.
And we all know how trustworthy rankings are.
Indeed.
But, Spain won.
Yep.
I think. Out of the top 10 people who are there on rankings,
yep,
5 of them are in Spain 1.
Wow.
They've got a very strong, on rankings alone, team.
Yep. I guess something that is very interesting here as well. If we looked at the teams, so we've got Team Germany, Team France 1, Team Spain 1, Team Spain 2, Team England, Team France 2, and Team Italy. So from your perspective as players that are based in the UK, I don't know if any of you have gone abroad for an event or have played against people that have come over. But Shatterpoint, we talked about Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl regularly. You yourself would be very familiar with international coaches, right? There was the online, there was the Fumble site. So I don't know if you played on Fumble, but there was Fumble for, you could get games all around the world. I guess there's a little bit of that with the TTS in leagues and stuff, but unless you're playing TTS, the chance is that you probably haven't played against many, if any, of these people. So I guess that's something that's going to be interesting for you to come up against as a team. And I guess kind of drawing on your Blood Bowl experience, you mentioned you won the World Cup, you've been to Euro Bowls for Blood Bowl. I guess you'll be quite familiar with that kind of international, the language barriers, the talking through things, and how different people behave across the table from you.
Yes.
Have you spoken to the team about that at all, or is that something that you've kind of flagged with them, that they may be facing some differences in terms of interaction with the person over the table?
Not so much like a direct conversation, but we have a sort of chats around, how we're going to deal with queries. Let's go with.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're all adults. We behave ourselves and stuff like that. I mean, so I don't think there'll be any issues. The big one for me is across the continent they use chess clocks.
Okay.
Timers. I think that's gonna be our biggest change. Let's go with.
Sure.
Is how we manage those. I mean, Thomas himself's actually Polish anyway, so he's already got dealing with us foreign English people as an issue. So he knows how to. He's got that behind him. I've played a bit of international. I know Jay is. I'm sure they've been across to play. Was it? It was one of a different system. I'm sure they've been to the European.
Oh yeah, maybe Malifaux.
War Machine.
War Machine.
Yeah,
okay, Malifaux War Machine.
Malifaux War Machine. That sort of thing.
Yep.
Completely blanked on the name of the game, but they've done that sort of thing. So we've got a bit of international gamers around us anyway.
Sure.
So we like I said, we're all adults.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Let me remove this share screen if I can, and we will then come back and finish off our interview. Right, so let's find if I can stop sharing screen. There we go. Let's get ourselves back to that and then come back onto this. There we go. We're back on the screen. So yeah, so I guess just to kind of wind down then, obviously I'm absolutely 100% behind you guys, representing the UK and England. Let's go. Let's go, guys. Let's get out there and do us proud. But what's the kind of approach for the event from you guys? Obviously it is a game. It's free time. There is a cost involved. And that's something that we can't ignore as well. That these events do cost, and the international travel does cost. So predominantly, I assume that having a good time, having some good games, is the first goal. But have you guys spoken about any kind of targets or things like this? Is there what's your kind of approach?
Well, this is the first iteration of this tournament anyway. It was because that was one of my big reasons for captaining it, because it was on the rocks a little bit of whether we're going to get a team together. I was like, nope, we need to have a team. Doesn't matter if we come last, if people's dogs want to come play for us, that's fine. We will make a team just to go. Yeah. And
does that tie in with your Blood Bowl thinking as well? That those just because the way that for those who are not aware of the Blood Bowl, the World Cup, I mean it was very, very near that the World Cup was going to be held in America in 2027, and that is amazing. It's actually being held in Malta, and I think for international political reasons, it's very sensible that it's being held in Malta rather than America. But we won't drift into that. But the fact that you've gone from can we get half? Do we have 10 teams playing at a World Cup or a Euro Bowl to the point now where we're getting? I think it was 30 teams at the last Euro Bowl. And then upwards of approaching 3,000 players at World Cups for Blood Bowl and stuff. That's amazing. So is that why you want to kind of invest in this nice and early and ensure that this is something that continues?
Yeah, because team events for me are the best event.
Absolutely.
Whether you go just and lose every game, there is still something much better about it than going and winning an individual tournament for me. I don't know what it is. I just prefer a team event.
Yeah, I agree.
So at least if you're having a bad day, the rest of the team can carry you. But yeah, for me, team events are the best events.
Yep, nice.
So going, I mean, yes, there's only 7 teams at this one, but next year, hopefully there'll be 8 and then 9 and then 10 and then you get more and more. And I'd like to go to this one and then people like yourself can come to the next one. And other people can come to the one after that. And eventually we'd have 2 England teams or something like that. Because it needs more people going to them, so they'll do it again.
Absolutely. I agree.
And it's even more important now for me because of the specialist game announcement from Atomic Mass. So the the World Cup that I went to, Games Workshop hadn't supported Blood Bowl for about 10 years at that point. And there were still 1,200 people there. So a dead game isn't dead.
Well, I think what will be really interesting is looking at the GT season that's coming. We're about to hit a new GT season. Starts at the very beginning of May, so we're only a few weeks out now from the start of a new GT season, and we're going to see events in America and in the UK and across Europe and Australia as well. Things, plenty of GTs coming up, and it's going to be interesting to see how well attended those GTs are, particularly your LVOs and your Adepticons, obviously at the end of the year. But I wouldn't be surprised if, just due to the sheer number of people who are playing the game, I wouldn't be surprised if, while we don't see maybe a huge growth in all the areas, I think we'll see a steady number continue. Particularly, UK, I know 3 of the GTs have capped themselves at 32. Jed's the only one that's capped himself at 64. And I think if we get 26, 28 players per GT for those 3 in the UK, I think we should be very happy. If it's consistent, rather than this last year, just gone, we saw GTs running with, we were both at GriffCon, 16 people there.
Yes.
The London Grand Tournament where I attended that one, there were 9 people. And it's like, and that's just not viable. That's not gonna work. But if we can see consistent 20 plus people attending UK events, and then out in America hitting those 80s, 90s in the big events, I think the game will continue. It will survive. People are going to enjoy. And I think the balance pass will see that as well.
Yeah, as long as they keep putting a balance pass out until it's perfect.
Yeah, well,
which we all know it will not happen.
No.
And then it'll survive. I would be happy with a couple of releases a year.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, give me 4 boxes a year, and I'm actually quite happy.
Yeah,
because you get your 4 boxes, 1 mission pack a year maybe, and 1 balance pack a year.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be more than I got for Blood Bowl.
Yeah, exactly, and that's I think we're in exactly the same boat of thinking here. No, brilliant, excellent. Well, as I say again, really good luck for the event to all of you. I will be following intently, and obviously I'll be recapping it on my stat show. And then we're going to have another one of these after the event where we can kind of deep dive it, talk through your games, talk through the team rounds, etc. And really get into the meat of how the event ran. So this is the first of a double header. So yeah, really excited for that. So anything else you want to add before we call it a day?
No, I'll try and keep notes, so I'm good for that one. I'll maybe try and drop stuff into the UK Discord as well.
Yep.
Shatterpoint, just little snippets for everybody.
Yeah, sounds really good. Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on. That's been brilliant. And hopefully everyone's enjoyed that. And hopefully it's whetted your appetite. And everyone will be following along. Yeah. So yeah, we will watch intently. So brilliant stuff. Right, well, all that remains for me to say, as usual on my YouTube, ding the bell, hit the follow, let's keep on growing the channel, let's keep the game growing. Yes, I'm going to release this pretty much immediately, so everyone will be able to see this hopefully Sunday lunchtime, and then everyone can see me on Monday for the stats show. So yeah, thanks very much, Frazer, really appreciate it.
Thanks,
bye for now.